So, yes, me, Alex Bellos, G4, G11, where we are. The talk, world's favourite number for everyone who comes from England. The world's favourite number for everyone else. So, this is a talk really about my own personal conversion from hating favourite numbers to loving them. So, I never had a favourite number when I was growing up, and when I started to do mass communication, I'd give talks, and at the end of it, there'd always be some clever clogs who put their hand up and say, "So what's your favourite number?" And I hated this, because favourite number? Why would any idiot have a favourite number? Numbers are, we know what they are. Well, why would we have an emotional connection with them? So I get really frustrated, and I took it as basically people teasing me, like taking the mickey, just saying, "Oh yeah, what's your favourite number then?" And just to demean the previous hour of the talk. This happened again and again, and I got so frustrated that once I just said, "Well, what's your favourite number then?" And they said, "Oh, 8. I said, "What, you got a favourite number?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, have you got a favourite number?" "Yeah." And so I said, "Well, show of hands, who has a favourite number?" And over 50% of the talk put their hands up, and I began to think, well, maybe I'm the one that's weird, not having a favourite number. So what did I try and do? I thought, why don't I investigate this? So I set up one website, but it had to have obviously 2 different URLs, favoritenumber.net. And this was an online survey to find the world's favourite number, to see if there was any way that I could quantify sort of our emotional connection with numbers. You clicked on this and it just said, "What's your favourite number?" and then blank, so you could write it in words or in symbols. I didn't say between 1 and 10 or anything, just anything, and then why. And there was a box and you could write whatever you liked. I put this up, I kind of tweeted it, I asked a few friends to tweet it. I thought I might get like couple of hundred responses. Within a few weeks, I had more than 30,000 from all over the world. I was on NPR, I was on the BBC, I was like a newspaper in Hungary. People were more fascinated than I actually expected. And it wasn't a very scientific survey because you only entered it if you were interested in it. So the quantitative stuff, which we'll come to later, is maybe not as interesting as the qualitative stuff. So I had tens of thousands, really, of it was the love that dare not speak its name. It was people just saying why they loved certain numbers, completely anonymously. So what I thought I would share to you now is some of the responses that came in, and I found them really quite moving and kind of interesting, and I began to be more and more obsessed and more fascinated with favourite numbers. So this is a quick quiz. This is one of the numbers that came in. Obviously, this is not in it's decimal form. Who here knows what this is in decimal form? 7.07. Okay, 7.07. The reason this comes, I also ask people to put demographic data, so where you're from, your level of maths education, your gender and your age. So this was suggested by a woman from Canada, aged 34, who has university level math. This number, I'll try and do a Canadian female accent-ish. This number is 10 root 2. I've been doing a lot of trig homework for a calculus class I was taking in undergrad, and this number appears a lot. At the time, I was sort of weirded out by the fact that I kept waking up at 7:07 instead of 7:30 when my alarm was set for. Anyway, one Saturday I went to my local art supply store and bought some paintbrushes. To my surprise, the total came to $7.07. And I sort of blurted out, "Oh, that's 10 over root 2 all over again," to a very cute cashier, for whom I had a rather pathetic crush and who I was constantly embarrassing myself in front of. After explaining myself, he was duly impressed and began embarrassing himself in front of me whenever I came to the store. And from that point on, I realised there's a brand of arty guys that like nerdy girls, and this still makes me happy, some 15 years later. What a lovely story. What a lovely story. The fact that, doesn't it not improve the quality of life by having a favourite number? I think it does. Okay, this number 37, and this was suggested by a British male aged 33 who only has high school math. It looks mysterious, like a cloaked villain from a silent movie. Okay. Now, this one here was suggested by a 21-year-old Russian male, and it is 1,000,000,007 because it's the largest prime number that I can remember. 209, I think I'll speed up because I've got a few to go. This is, or it was, it's the lowest whole number not to have an entry in Wikipedia. So too boring to have an entry in Wikipedia, therefore interesting. And actually now, due to kind of Wikipedia inflation, that number would be 224. 101, why was that chosen? That is chosen because it's the lowest number that has an A in it. Okay, because it's the gathering card 11, I thought I would just take some, because I've got hundreds and hundreds of these, of why 11 was chosen. Actually, I'll choose the quickest one, which I think is quite good. This is from a 39-year-old American man. It sounds like lovin'. Which is quite good. Another one, this is from a 36-year-old American woman. I had brain surgery on the 22nd of the month. That's 2 11s. And ever since then, I've seen 11s everywhere I go. If I don't see an 11, I will rearrange numbers until I find one. If I have to add and then subtract various numbers in a license plate, I'll do it until I come up with a number 11. To me, all forms of the number count. Like a mile marker that simply says 47, well, to me, that's 11. If you're going very slowly. They're everywhere. You know, I had to either be terrified of them or learn to embrace them, and I went with embracing them. So that's absolutely lovely. Oh God, I'm in the wrong side. That should have been 11. So all these things I kind of, realized that every number tells a story, but I was also interested in the kind of the grand sweep of kind of culture and history and people races together. If there are any similarities, rather than just the kind of the specifics. And so what I did is that I went and I searched for all the adjectives that were used for different numbers. I'm just going to go through 2 of them. So this is number 1, and these are adjectives used by people who love the number 1. And I want you to think that, imagine we're kind of in screenwriting class, and this is the character of a person, and what kind of person will that person be? So 1, independent, strong, honest, brave, straightforward, pioneering, competitive, enthusiastic, dramatic, cheerful, egoistic, hot-headed, lonely. All right? Those are very male characteristics, I think. When you put them together, that really is, that's a hero in an action movie or in a romantic comedy. Strong, honest, brave, dramatic, but lonely. Let's go to number 2. These are adjectives. And I wasn't really cherry-picking them. I just put them all together. Adjectives that people who love the number 2 describe 2 as simple, elegant, cautious, wise, observant, pretty, fragile, open, sympathetic, comfortable, quiet, crisp, clean, flexible, subtle, inconspicuous. So completely different adjectives than are used to describe the number 1, and also much more feminine. And when you see this written down, it's really, really striking. And when I did this, I started to look at these kind of cultural ideas, and the idea that numbers have gender. I know there was a call for more pseudoscience here, talks, and you might think pseudoscience, do numbers have gender? Well, obviously I don't think numbers do have gender, but culturally, humans have pretty much always associated gender with numbers. The very first words that the Sumerians used for number, 1 was man and 2 was woman. The Pythagoreans had the whole kind of idea that odd numbers were masculine and even numbers were feminine. And this is repeated through kind of Christianity. And even though, we think this is a bit sort of mumbo-jumbo, it's interesting that even now, when people that love numbers, most of these people are kind of educated people, submitted these answers into my favorite number survey, and you cherry-pick the adjectives that they used, and it seems that there is underlying kind of culture, a feeling that, number 1, odd numbers are a bit more masculine than even numbers. Anyway, that was just something that I thought was very provocative and I was not expecting to find. Now, you're probably asking me, well, what is the world's favourite number? I mean, after all, you know, that was the bait that got you in here. There was the title of the talk, and I'm sorry, but my publishers won't let me tell you because I will discuss everything and analyse all these results and tell you everything about them and how I saw them. And I'm going to put them live on a website the day my book comes out. On April the 8th. So if you go to that website on April the 8th, there'll be, you know, the 30,000 results collated. There are about more than 1,000 individual numbers were voted for. I have all the percentages and all the data if you want to look into it, and also some of the qualitative stuff. And if you wanted to then see what I think about it, it's in my books, which also come out later this year. So thank you very much.